how much do these Quranic verses influence the poets and the things that they write? Well, we know it must be a great deal. And so what I have here, you remember the one I did last time about the mountain, huh? I'm not going to do that one again because we don't have time. But I want to read to you a poem that I have retranslated because of a Quranic verse. And I'm going to save time and mainly deal with it's a long verse. I'm going to deal with I'm going to read the translation that's given to you on the internet by Sahih International, talking about God. He sends down from the sky rain, and valleys flow according to their capacity, and the torrent carries a rising foam. And from that which they heat in the fire, which he means ore, metal, desiring adornments and utensils, melted there is a foam on it. Now, I happen to cast bronze. If I'm trying to think who was with it. Was Abdullah John? Where's Abdullah? Abdullah John. Abdullah John was with me. We went and we saw my bronze casting, huh? Do you remember I showed you? So what did we see? We saw the crucible. I melt the bronze. So when I read this, like, whoa, because it's true to my experience. You melt the bronze and you think you're going to pour it. You cannot. You have to clean the scum off the top, you see? So here, now, isn't it true that usually there's a word in Arabic Persian that they use as zubda? Doesn't it have a good meaning usually? Yeah, what does it mean usually? Zubda.
It's the name for butter.
Yes. So it's the cream. Like there's the milk, and it's the cream. It has a good meaning usually. But in this verse, it does not. It's the only place in the Quran. That's another thing that interests me. Are there verses in the Quran, and nowhere else in the Quran you can find the use of certain words? And this is an example. And the word is zabada. So instead of a good sense of zubda, because don't we say about the poetry or the literature or even a person, zubda'i something, the cream of the religion, the cream of this, it has a good meaning usually. But here, it does not have a good meaning. It has a meaning of a contamination, and he gives the example. It's a very beautiful example. God sends down the rain from the sky. The valleys, they're flowing according to their capacity. The wadis, the word he uses is wadi. And those wadis are carrying water, but they can only carry so much, but they're filling up to their capacity, you see? And then he says, and similar to that, in other words, there's the melting of metal, which they heat in the fire because they are wanting to make ornaments and utensils. And there's a foam on the metal they have melted. And as you know, because I showed you, because we went and we opened the thing up and I showed you the crucible, huh? Thus Allah presents truth and falsehood. As for the foam, it vanishes, being cast off. But as for that which benefits the people, it remains on the earth. Thus does Allah present examples. I thought about the verse, and I thought about which poems that I knew about of Rumi's that I had translated. And I realized that there was one that I thought really did have a meaning, and it happens to be about zikr. I think you'll find this part interesting. So I'm going to read it to you, first in English, then in Persian, then in English again. Words are like a nest, meaning is the bird. Body like a stream bed, spirit the flowing water. It flows, but you say the water is still. It runs, but you say it is stagnant. If you don't see the particles flowing with the water, what about the moving debris on its surface? Your debris consists of mental forms. Those virgin shapes are renewed each moment. The stream of thought's surface is flowing, never minus the debris of what is loved and feared. The husks on the surface of this flowing water were cast from the fruit of an invisible orchard. Seek the kernels of these husks in that garden, since it is the source of the stream's water. If you don't see flowing the water of life, look in the stream at the passing of twigs. As the water rises and flows by swiftly, it makes the husks of images travel quickly. When the stream reaches its greatest speed, no sorrow abides in the mystic knower's mind. When the stream is at its fullest and fastest, nothing abides in it except the water. Okay? Do you see how beautiful? And if you know Rumi and you read Rumi a lot and you know the Quranic verses that he loves, you really see how you can see the connection between this idea that because, you know, in the Quranic verse, literally the words being used here are of course, the haq and batil. So there's in this case, it's the truth or the true reality, and what is untrue. You see, batil. And so he's in the case of the zikr, the common theme we've talked about lately is distinguishing in the Quran and in ourselves what is eternal and imperishable versus what is perishable. And the Persian way of saying to say fani pazir, something that is susceptible to disintegration, and then that which is not susceptible to disintegration. So what we see is when we're in zikr, we are confronted everything that has a form. Fariyajan, the eye that you see, the images we see, they will perish. Agreed?
Yes.
So always ask yourself that. Is this a permanent entity, or is it simply something passing through, you see? And it's a beautiful image because he's given it to you in the form of the stream, and I can give you other examples of Rumi, but I think this one's very related to this verse, the idea that the zikr, it causes the water to start flowing harder and rising up, and it's carrying away. And he says that eventually it's moving so fast that and so high, it's climbing so high that it's overflowing and there's nothing but the water left, you see. Isn't that like the Quranic verse? Yeah. So we do the Persian, and let's see how we're doing here. Yeah, we have time. So the Persian, and then we come back and do the English again. لفظ چون وکر است و معنا طایر است. جسم جوی و روح آب سایر است. او روان است و تو گویی واقف است. او دوان است و تو گویی عاقف است. گر نبینی سیر آب از خاک ها، چیست بر وی نو به نو خاشاک ها؟ هست خاشاک تو صورت های فکر، نو به نو در می رسد اشکال بکر. روی آب جوی فکر اندر روش، نیست به خاشاک محبوب و وحش. قشرها بر روی این آب روان، از ثمار باغ غیبی شد دوان. قشرها را مغز اندر باغ جو، زان که آب از باغ می آید به جو. گر نبینی رفتن آب حیات، بنگر اندر جوی و این سیر نبات. آب چون انبوتر آید در گذر، زو کند قشر سوار زودتر گذر. چون به غایت تیز شد این جو روان، غم نپاید در ضمیر عارفان. چون به غایت ممتلئ بود و شتاب، پس نگنجید اندر او الاک آب. Okay? This is in book 2, and I'm reading to you book 2 from starting at line 3292. 3292 on book 2 of Masnavi, in case you want to go find it. Again, we do the English. You heard the verse, I don't think I need to repeat it, huh? But as I did mention to you, there's this word in a Quranic word only shows up in this verse, Zabat, huh? So, and whether it is God talking about the foam, like haven't you ever seen, like isn't it all of our experience, a rain comes and the dirt that's in the land, as the rains come and the streams run, everything gets clean, but isn't there foam on top of it, you see? And God says, and he says, that's what I do. I bring the rain and I cause these stream beds, the wadis, which also, don't they bring you water? Don't they bring you food and life? But they need to be cleaned out because the passage of time has made them full of impurities and so forth. And he does a lovely thing here. He says, isn't that like you guys when you melt metal to make your jewels and ornaments? Don't you have scum that you have to clean off of here? See, that's what I like about this one. The metaphor is like he's putting it now with the human being, and he's saying, and you are melting the metal, and this has zabat, this has scum on top of it that you have to remove to correctly make the jewelry. What happens if there's the impurities in the metal? I can tell you it's very dangerous if you're doing boat building because it could cause the thing to break under strain. Or if it's jewelry, it could cause it to have a weakness in it. You see what I mean? Because the scum, or in this case the impurities, they go inside of the metal. So then if there's pressure on it, it could break. You follow? So it's a very beautiful verse. Again, this one is from Ra'ad, from the thunder. And I'm reading to you from verse 17. So if you want to see this verse, you can see for yourself. And there's better translation of this, but this one just was one I found. But I think you get the idea. But coming back to Rumi's, I don't mean I know for sure Rumi wrote this poem based on this. He was trying to talk about zikr and how the batel, meaning the untrue, will vanish. And the way he's saying it will vanish is the uprising, so to speak, of spirit. You see, the increase of spirit is like water, which causes the scum to rise up so far that it's thrown out from the stream. Agreed? Yes.
Can the scum be like, I think we talked about this before, how it's like all of the things in your mind.
It's precisely that.
Yeah.
Precisely that. So if he's making a difference between the haq and the batil, then what I like about Rumi, of course, is unlike Shabastari, Rumi is giving you, like God in the Quran, Rumi is giving you visual metaphors that you can keep in your mind, agreed? You'll probably have dreams from it, in fact. I don't mean that as a suggestible thing, but you probably will, because it's like a very powerful message. And it's very beautiful, you see. So he's saying that the zikr is like that. And you'll see, if you practice the zikr, you will see that the experience of light and spirit is like, it's either like light, or sometimes Rumi is describing it as water. It's pure water. And as this water rises up, there's no room left for the batil. And he not only says it rises up, but just like in the Quran, he talks about it moving more quickly. And then also rising up and then overflowing the banks, you see? So again, his poem, he says, words are like a nest, meaning is the bird. Well, now that's fascinating right there. Coming back to a good word. Yes, a good word is a nest. The meaning, you can't see it. You can know it, but it's not, the nest you can see. Huh? So again, it's surat and mano. It's the form and the meaning. Body like a stream bed, spirit the flowing water. It flows, but you say the water is still. It runs, but you say it is stagnant. If you don't see the particles floating with the water, what about the moving debris on its surface? Your debris consists of mental forms. Those virgin shapes are renewed each moment. The stream of thought surface is flowing, never minus the debris of what is loved and feared. The husks on the surface of this flowing water were cast from the fruit of an invisible orchard. Seek the kernels of these husks in that garden, since it is the source of the stream's water. If you don't see flowing the water of life, look into the stream at the passing of twigs. You'll notice the whole thing here is that the water is evidently not visible to the viewer. What's visible to the viewer are the riverbed, and Rumi's even saying, well, we'll do a transitional thing here. You can't see the water, and therefore you're not grasping that it's moving. Do you see those dirty particles in it, like the foam? And you see how that's moving? Now do you agree the water is moving? Because if the foam is moving, the person says, well, I don't know about the water, but I know about the foam. See? So he's trying to get you to understand. And then he says, if you can't see those particles, can you see some bigger things like debris? And then he says, the debris for you is your thoughts, like you were saying. Your thoughts are like debris flowing on the surface of the water. Something is holding them up and causing them to move. So this is a transition. Now he comes to that point of the transition. As the water rises and flows by swiftly, it makes the husks of images travel quickly. When the stream reaches its greatest speed, no sorrow abides in the mystic knower's mind. When the stream is at its fullest, anbutar, or highest, you see, when the stream is at its fullest and fastest, nothing abides in it except the water. It's beautiful, huh? So, okay, well, there you go. We have a few more minutes for any questions. Yes. Yes. Yeah, there's a common fear. In fact, a lot of counseling in less of a psychological domain is about people who they have even anxiety attacks because they're practicing meditation and they reach a place and they encounter terror. I've always been like a high diver, so like I'm always like okay, get into the thing here. This person's having real trouble. Because for me, it's like my dreams with my teacher. I don't know if you're aware of them. Where I'm with him, he's on a cliff. We're on a cliff, a precipice, for example, and I'm looking, and I know I'm supposed to be scared, so I'm like scared in the dream, and then he's looking and he smiles at me and he starts rocking. He starts rocking, like really far over the cliff. And he says to me, go for it, go for it. And I'm like, really? And he said, go for it. And I jump, and I dive. See, so this is like, it could take the form of a dream. This is a very living dream. It's a very, you can have fana in a dream. So the different dream is about ideas, and a dream is about a transitional experience of dying before you die, huh? That kind of thing. But it's a fascinating topic because, you know, another more banal way that I put it thing with the water is when you're doing zikr, don't be seduced by the beautiful tropical aquarium fish, because our game is the water, but most people don't know about the water. They say, what do you mean? I saw the aquarium. Say, please look at the aquarium. Yes, I'm looking at the aquarium. There it is. It's a rectangular box. It's sitting there, and there's these wonderful flying creatures in it that are multicolored. Saying, no, keep looking at it. And eventually there's a transition where you learn that it's water. You know, let's say we were going to make a comparison to another tradition, and we're going to go to Zen. And there's going to be the idea of sudden illumination versus gradual illumination. So to answer your question, in many schools, including our school, the idea is gradual illumination, that sudden illumination happens through long retreats or like, it's not like they have no purpose, but going to, Ustad is Uvaisi. Really, Uvaisis, they're like a particular kind of Naqshbandi. And the Naqshbandis, you may know, when you read the Qudsiya, for example, they said there's excess in our domain of spiritual practice. And the excess is we see a lot of qalandars like gone crazy and wandering about. And then there's also excess because there are these fanatical Karamiyan, these other people in Afghanistan at the time. So you have these really excessive people. And they say, we're going to pick a path that is moderate. And the original Naqshbandiya, they're not doing retreats. They want you to wake up in this world. So it reduces this problem you're asking about. When they see, in northern Afghanistan, also when I was there, they see somebody that's a little bit like, let's call it unstable, they forbid them to do zikr. They can only do the formal bodily prayer. They're trying to keep them in the body. They don't let them fast. They make them eat. This is in accordance with modern psychology. We understand this is the way to stop somebody having a psychotic break, huh? So if somebody's prone to psychotic breaks, we have to distinguish between madness and spiritual experience. And a lot of people have ruinous lives because this distinction is not made, you see. But it's a very real fear to lose oneself. The nice thing about the outshining is what I'm trying to explain this morning. Rumi and Ibn Arabi both, they say, listen, maybe you're scared of the wrong thing. Because you were thinking it was all going to be night and black and you're lost. But that's not what's happening here. So when the sun rises, the stars cannot be seen. You are not gone. You were there, but there's the outshining. There's nothing about it that is anything but beautiful. You see? This is this, instead of a sudden shock kind of treatment, it's a gradual illumination comparable to watching the dawn go from dark into light